My name is Jeff Morgan. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I'm going to talk about the Jeff Younger case right now and the ruling that has not yet been issued to the public, but which I have, done by Judge Mary Brown. This is the Memorandum Ruling, and it was rendered on September the 21st, 2022. The case is DF-15-09887 and Georgilis versus Jeffrey Younger. The hearing date was September the 1st, 2022. The memorandum ruling states as follows. The court finds that a jury was held in this case in 2019 where a jury answered the question, should the parties remain joint managing conservators, with a no, and denied Mr. Younger's request to be named the sole managing conservator. I was there for that entire trial, by the way. The question of whether Dr. Georgilis should be named the sole managing conservator was not presented to the jury because Dr. Georgilis had never asked to be named as sole managing conservator in her pleadings. The court ordered that the parties should remain joint managing conservators and put into place a plan that was meant to provide for the children's mental well-being and was in their best interest, and for resolution of disagreements between the parents regarding the children as to what is in their best interest. A final order based upon the jury verdict and the trial court's findings of fact and conclusions of law was entered. By the way, the findings of facts and the conclusions of law, that was anything but a findings of facts and conclusion of law. There was a lot of opinion in there, a bunch of garbage, honestly. I've read it, and it was not really just strictly facts and conclusions of law, not in the least. If followed, the order was designed to lead to a 50-50 possession schedule. This court entered a very detailed temporary order clarifying the counseling procedures. Now, what was going on in this is that James Younger, the son, had to continue to see a counselor who was still trying to address him as a girl when Mr. Younger, James Younger, the boy, was a boy. This order has not been followed by Mr. Younger. Mr. Younger declared he would not participate in the abuse of his son. He has failed to attend and participate in the therapy sessions, again, conducted by a person who is very LGBTQ sympathetic, as outlined in the orders designed to promote the best interest of the children. Nowhere is the best interest of the children defined, not in the least. And for a boy to be forced to wear a girl's dress, to be forced to pretend he's a girl, to be forced to do anything that would change his gender, the manifestation of his gender, because mommy wanted him to, that is not in the best interest of the children ever, period. The boy did not want to act like a girl, dress like a girl, or anything. This was a forced transition, or at least social transition, by Dr. Ann Georgilis. She's a pediatrician out of Coppell, Texas. The court finds that Mr. Younger has willfully and intentionally disobeyed the court's order and has acted against the best interest of the children. That, again, is an opinion of the court. That is not a finding of fact, nor is a conclusion of law even allowed based on an opinion. There needs to be findings of facts. There are no findings of facts. This is a forcing of opinion upon Mr. Younger and upon his children. This is a trans agenda. And trans is another thing that is a fiction. But anyway, I digress. The most egregious example is his willful failure to utilize any of his court-ordered possession time with his two children in the last 13 months. Mr. Younger was ordered to supervised visitation. Though he had been completely without any supervised visitation for months ahead of time, the court decided that they were going to try to punish Mr. Younger by making him pay to see his children, at which point one of his sons, James, would be dressed in a dress and not be allowed to interact with him as a boy. That was supposed to be something that Mr. Younger was supposed to participate in. He said he would not participate in the abuse of his child. Mary Brown knows this, crooked Mary Brown. By the way, she is still under investigation by the Texas Ethics Commission. And it's very interesting because I just called up the Texas Ethics Commission. They aren't allowed to talk about anything that's going on, only whether the investigation is pending or whether it's been concluded. And even after it's been concluded, they're not even allowed to discuss what's going on. Something is wrong with our whole system when judges cannot be held to account for their actions, ethical violations of the election code. If this lady was a pedophile, I don't even know if she could even be, if we could even know about her pedophilia. Consequently, the court finds the following orders are necessary for the safety and welfare of the children, and that these orders are in the children's best interest. Again, this is nonsense. And by the way, why did not the court rule that the mother should be ordered to not fake dress, pretend that the boy is a girl? Why was that order not given? That was not given because it does not fit into the trans agenda. And by the way, the attorney Jessica Janasek from the Kunstfuller Law Firm, what I believe is one of the most crooked law firms in the state of Texas, and Jessica Janasek, who I also believe is a perverse attorney that lacks moral backbone, that would never allow people to do to her children what she's doing to other children. Right here, through Ann Georgelis and through this court, I don't even have any words to speak about them. But anyway, the so-called best interest of the child was that the boy should pretend to be a girl. That's what it came down to. And because Mr. Younger did not agree with Judge Mary Brown, by the way, Judge Mary Brown has her own issues with her own family, but that's for another topic as well. And we, the public, can't know about this once again, of course. Here is what she has ruled. Because Ann Georgelis wanted to be able to take the children out of the state of Texas so that she could transition them in another state. And she's planning to go to California at this point in time. California has laws that will allow one parent to transition a child. And by the way, you never really transition a child. You mutilate a child. You cut off his penis. You castrate him. And by the way, there are laws in the state of Texas that if you perform any type of female genital mutilation against a girl, that is considered criminal. That was passed and headed up and passed by Senator Judith Zaffirini, who was a Democrat out of Texas. Why is it that we have these laws that declare female genital mutilation as being child abuse and a felony, to the best of my knowledge, and yet you can do this to a boy and there's no problem? Or you can cut off a girl's breasts, give her a mastectomy when she's a young adolescent? Why is this not considered child abuse? And by the way, Judge Mary Brown is ordering child abuse. That is what she's doing. Attorney Jessica Janasek of the Kunstfuller Law Firm, she is defending child abuse. Dr. Ann Georgelis, the pediatrician, she is guilty of child abuse. That is what's going on. It's child abuse, but we can't know about it. We've got to hold this whole thing secret so that the public does not know that these perverse people, Ann Georgelis, Jessica Janasek, and Mary Brown, are making these rulings and then claiming, with no proof whatsoever, just their opinion, and probably their purchased opinion, I don't know, that this is acting in the best interest of the children. The residency restriction of the children's primary residence is expanded to include anywhere in the continental United States. Wow. At least she's not letting the mother take the child overseas. At least it looks like at this point. Number 2, Mr. Younger's supervised possession. Again, there was no need for the supervised possession. As set forth in the prior temporary order, shall occur in the county and state of the children's primary residence and shall be supervised by court service personnel of the local court or other agreed upon agency for supervision. The problem is this: Ann Georgelis will not agree to Mr. Younger being with his children alone. Why? Because Mr. Younger treats James as a boy. And it punctures the delusion of Ann pretending that he is a girl. That is the bottom line of the whole thing. Number 3, non-disclosure findings are Dr. Georgelis and the primary's residence address granted. Dr. Georgelis shall provide an email address to be used for any communication by Mr. Younger related to this litigation, and she is ordered to disclose her personal address and the children's school only to the amicus in this case, who was ordered to keep the same confidential. That amicus is Stacy Dunlop. The amicus, in my opinion, wanted to keep himself on the case, and he intentionally and willfully ignored the fact that Ann Georgelis, the mother, was interfering with child custody 2503, a state jail felony. I showed him the information, and And Stacy took a look at it and his jaw dropped. This was before the final judgment was rendered on day 5, I believe, of the trial, when I was kicked out of the court because I was not media, according to Judge Kim Cooks. Judge Stacy Dunlop, the one who says, I want the people to like me so that they will rule in my favor. I'm sorry, Stacy Dunlop, no matter what you've said, this is inexcusable. What you have done, you have participated in this abuse as well. Number 4, Dr. Georgilis is awarded sole right to apply for and renew passports of the children, and no consent is necessary from Mr. Younger. So I take back what I said earlier. The judge is allowing Ann Georgilis to take the children out of the country. Who knows what she's going to do with them? She's a perverse woman. Maybe she'll sell them into some type of sexual slavery. Any mother who makes a boy pretend that he's a girl, that dresses him in girl's clothes when he does not want to, that makes him do things that it looks like he's drag of some sort, or that puts any type of creams upon him like estrogen when he is a boy to try to start the process of so-called transitioning him, that is an abusive mother, and Georgilis is an abusive mother. Miss Janicek, the abusive attorney from Koonsvoller, the completely corrupt, immoral attorney from Koonsvoller, is to prepare the order in accordance with this ruling. Those are the facts of what just took place. The opinion that was rendered on September the 21st, 2022 by corrupt judge, unethical judge, the cheat judge, Mary Brown, the lady who does not even deserve to be called a judge. And we can't even know about what's going to happen with her ethical violations. It's either going to be pending or resolved, and we cannot even know. We, the public, cannot know whether she was found guilty of violating the Texas election codes or not. These types of laws that prevent us from knowing about the behavior, the ethical behaviors of our judges, need to be done away with.